Hey everyone, welcome back to our special episode from ChupacabraCon, and we have a returning guest. Say hello to everyone.
Hello.
For those who didn't watch, reintroduce yourself.
I'm Sheena Vandevanter. I'm the convention chair and founder of ChupacabraCon.
Yep, ChupacabraCon. Now, I must ask, what's with the blob coming out of the head and the crazy goats? Like, I expected a little more carnage on this.
Well, the original Chango has little spikes on its head, and so the artist who drew this decided to make them a little bit more Ren and Stimpy. So it's kind of...
There's nothing wrong with more Ren and Stimpy, let's be honest.
Yep.
And, it's 3 goats for year 3. Yes.
Next year will be 4 goats. Then you'll have a mountain of goat skulls eventually one day in the future as it gets built up more.
So year 6 will be a pyramid of goats?
Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
He'll just kind of be in the middle going, ah! So, ChupacabraCon, it's, we've been with you guys since it started. It was in that round hotel, which I still love the round hill, and that was just amazing. But it was just a handful of people, and now we're here, and it's so much bigger. Like, I got in the parking lot, and there was, no parking. And I was like, this is a really good sign.
Yeah.
How does it feel to see it grow over the course of these years?
Oh, it's amazing. I'm just thrilled. I was hoping that it would catch on and people would want to come back and do more, and it has
Surpassed?
Thank you. It has surpassed my expectations. Yes.
She's like me. We have to think of our words real like it's overly my expectations.
I have to say this to put a little bit more fire on the ego. I would say the parking lot's just not full. The hotel is full. There is no hotel rooms at all. A friend of ours was like, okay, look, we're all going to pitch in like $20 and we're going to stay one night. There is not a hotel room. The hotel had to tell us there's another hotel down the road. They might have a room.
Wow, hotel.
See, that's a
hotel
really
is
good sign
full.
as well.
You filled this hotel.
Wow.
Now, I'm thinking one of the main reasons is because there's so many conventions, especially here in Texas. There's a convention for everything. Any weekend you go to any 50 miles from us and there's a convention of some sort. But they're all kind of the same. They're all media, comic conventions. This is a very specialized convention about tabletop and role-playing and LARPing, because Chris Glover's out there with his LARPing. I haven't even gone to yet, but I saw him in his wizard hat already.
Yes, he looks amazing.
What do you think is attributing to the rise of the return of tabletop gaming? Because a long time ago, that's all you had. And now in modern society, we live behind screens and phones and anonymity and not being social.
Well, I think you said it. I think, we're all behind screens. So many of us at work all week long, that to be able to break free from that and socialize and be with other humans for a little while face to face and have something to do that's fun and creative and different and outside the norm, I think is really exciting. It fuels the need for social interaction, but it also kind of allows us to be kids again for a little
Social interaction, that's called trolling on the internet. That's all you need for social interaction.
That is not social interaction. That is hatred. I think another part of it is, for a while, pen and paper tabletop gaming just as a whole. If you said I want to play a board game, everyone's like, "Oh, Milton Bradley," and now the idea is you can go beyond that. Role-playing kids are now adults and they have kids. And it seems like, and I have to say this with role-playing and tabletop and miniature gaming, it seems, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but it sounds, it's the hand-me-down. It's the son, daughter, you're old enough now, we can go kill dragons together. I mean, I can go with Daddy. I've seen... There's a couple here with their 3-month-old son, I think. I've seen 2.
He has to be their good luck charm. Let him roll the dice. 20 crit, yeah.
No, it's more like feed me. I've seen several parent groups. With their kids, and it seems like gaming. It's something that's been handed down now, and it's gotten bigger because. Where our generation, we didn't have, our parents encouraging us to do this, and some parents...
Because it wasn't the norm.
No, because that was devil worship.
Right.
And he brings up a good point. Geek parents are the best. But I can't tell you, I know a lot of people like, hey, I'm having a game night. Like, what are you, 5 board games? I said, what do you do tonight? I'm going to go get drunk. I'd rather hang out with friends and play games and maybe drink and have some fun, because drunken D&D is always fun. There's no 2 ways you could try to argue that. Argue against that. But... I think the times are changing, and this is probably a good sign of it, because parents are now realizing we live in a different society where you can't stop having fun. I will never be a stick in the mud. I am sorry. I cannot be like, oh, I can't believe you still watch wrestling. Stuff like that, it makes no sense to me.
No, our generation is coming into its own, and we're like, no, we refuse to grow up. We may adult when we have to.
Adulting's not always fun though.
No.
I have adulted.
We can put on pants in the morning, and we can adult, and we can do our work and pay our taxes. But when it comes down to it, we never have to grow up.
But also at the same time, I get to do a little cheerleading right now for you because this is awesome. But we also turn when we have fun, we make it something important sometimes. Last night we had you guys did celebrity role playing,
Yes.
which you had a lot of your guests in one room doing chickens in the mist, giant evil chickens, and so many adult humor jokes that we're so glad that was not filmed. But you guys also, during all that craziness, all that wackiness, everyone making very inappropriate humor, you've raised $300 for a charity.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, people are like, well, there's lots of charities that they, but it was 3-hour gaming session. That's $100 an hour. And that was a room of 20 people.
That's true. I think we definitely hit on something important there.
Yes. But it's like at the same time, we adult, but we make our fun adults. And that's the difference, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and teaching our kids who we're bringing to our conventions that charity is important is important too. It's important.
One of the things I think is also really fun about this is you get to experience new things and new systems.
Yes.
That's why we do things like this. But also, as the future comes with this convention and tabletop as general, technology's starting to invade in a good way. Like I have the XCOM board game, but it uses an app during the whole game, and it is absolutely amazing. And there's another miniatures game that uses a pen, and it reads the figure where it's at, and it keeps track of it for an app, so you know what has what statuses or what's going on. And I think there's this future coming in where we're going to have more interactive gaming like that, and I think that's going to really just kind of make everything expand out even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait until I can afford one of those LCD tables for D&D where you have the map and you can put the Fog of War on it and put your minis on the map, and it'll have all your little squares and everything. It'd be great.
Well, you could do it now with some crayons and on the table and just wipe it off before dinner.
Well, yes. But something about having the terrain and doing all, and just be very cool.
The HoloLens, I think, would be really good for that too. If everybody had one, you just made the board and just put people on it. I think that'd be really. I think augmented reality in gaming is going to be the next thing to really take off.
Do you also think that with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, that the barrier of entry has been lowered? Because back in the day, when Wizards of the Coast or Dragon Age or even Savage Worlds, we love those guys, but like all those companies, but still okay, I have an idea for a game. Okay, we need $10,000 just to start talking to you. This day, it's like, hey, I have this idea for a game. I want to make a quick 3-minute video explaining my game. I need $8,000 to get it published. Can you help me do this? And you go to the fans. Do you think that the tabletop insurgence is because of that basically we now have that very much lowered bar of entry?
Well, I think it must be helping, because certainly you see a lot more varied games now than ever before. And I think that's one of the things that's important about a convention like this, is that you have a small game that's produced independently, and you have the opportunity to demo it and get it in front of people so they can try it, they can see your art, where you may not see it in your local game store, at least not yet, because it's too small.
Well, there's a downside to that in the rise of all of this, in that just because you can doesn't mean you should. There's always that rule.
Right.
But it's also, board games have become ridiculously expensive. I love Fantasy Flight, but there's no way they're charging $120 for a new Star Wars game. I can't fathom, it's like, you go to the local game stores, you can't afford to buy a game there because they're all retail price. You have to go online and find it cheaper. So people are like, well, you should be supporting local. Well, if I can buy a game for half price, I have other bills, I have family, I have things I have to do.
Sure.
Why do you think it's becoming so ridiculously expensive? Is it because it's just popular, it's the in thing now, or is it just because they're like, hey, we can do it, let's do it?
Probably a little of both. And I know some of the Fantasy Flight, specifically their line, there's some amazing detail on those minis for Star Wars and stuff. But yeah, when I bought the dice, I was like, $15 for 6 dice? Are you kidding me? I mean, yes, they're special, but wow. I mean, there was 4 of them in there.
See, my brother's all about the Armada and the X-Wing, and he has to try to find those because he has this completionist aspect to him. He has to have them all. And yeah, they're really detailed, but he has spent so much money on that, and he just looks back going, I don't understand why it couldn't have been half the price, because it's a little piece of plastic and they're charging $20 for it.
Yeah.
I think, I'm going to say this. You're saying Fantasy Flight. Yes, Fantasy Flight.
It's all of them, though. Like,
No,
you can go to
it's
any comic
not.
book store and look at the prices on the games. Not one of them is going to be under $60.
Well, some of them
And it
are.
used to be 25.
Well,
Yeah.
some of them are, but they're the smaller box games. Now, if you're talking about the larger box games, yes, some of them are. Fantasy Flight, most times what you're paying for is the fact that it says Star Wars Battlefront or Battlefields. They're
Well,
paying,
it's all of their games, though. They do,
But
but their games are really well worth it.
but they're also all licensed games. They're either Star Wars, XCOM, a lot of their games are attached to another franchise. What you got to look at is
Sure,
like
that
what is Steve Jackson and them doing? What is
Well, even Steve Jackson sometimes can be a little high, but when you bring up things like Kickstarter, like, oh wow, they did a Ninja Turtles game, but it's $100 just to be able to get the game.
but
I mean, I get that it's a limited run thing and they need to make their money, but wouldn't you attract more if you maybe halved that? So it's because geek parents have bills. We have rent to pay. We've got children to feed. We've got to support our hobbies and habits. I think we're at that point where tabletop is dangerously on the verge of becoming just way too much. And it makes me sad.
I don't think it will. I think what will happen is like with a lot of things, you will see the expensive ones and the big companies. It's like movies. Like, yeah, you're going to have the big Uber blockbusters that cost billions and billions of dollars.
You can take your entire family and buy food for the cost of one board game to the movies.
That's true. Well, it depends on the board game. Or you can go Steve Jackson or Cheap Ass Games or a couple other ones. You can get it just as good as a game that's about a third of that price.
And I have found indie developers do some of the most amazing games.
Right.
That's true. The other thing that you can do, like we have Dragon's Lair, we have Emerald Tavern, you can take your family there, check out a game from their library, and I have to plug Wonkos because they gave us our game library for this
Wonkos
weekend.
is awesome. We all love Wonkos.
So
We
you
love
go
Wonkos.
and you play whatever game, and then maybe over the course of 4 or 5 months you decide, hey, we really love this one, and then you can save
go out
up
and buy it.
and you go out and buy it. Instead of I hate it when I buy a game and I don't like it. That's the worst thing ever. So being able to demo is amazing, and that's a fun night out for the family.
But in defense of the expensive board game, a lot of those have so many variables that you will get your monies out of it. I mean, I have Lords of Waterdeep. That was a $70 board game, and I have probably played. If I've had $1 every time I play that thing, I've probably doubled the amount of money I've spent on it.
So before we go,
We do.
what has been your absolute most bloodthirsty game you love to play?
Most bloodthirsty game I love to play?
Mhm.
Oh, that is
Our
hard.
team likes Zombies is one of our best backstabby games, but for me the most bloodthirsty game is always Candyland. That game is the worst game. I mean, it's my favorite game, but it's the worst game to play because you always go back to Mr. Man. I always get that card, and I'm done.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say Frag, but yeah, that pales in comparison.
Frag is pretty bad. What about you, Pocky? What's your most bloodthirsty?
Betrayal on the house.
Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Because the problem is, you have the nicest player. Now they're the backstabber. Like, you don't know who's going to be the backstabber till they're told it.
See, in our group, my brother wants to be the backstabber, so he'll be the backstabber no matter what. He'll start jacking with you
By the
before
way,
you even know.
I got in trouble for this last time, and I have to do this now. Why is it called ChupacabraCon?
Yes, that was our very last question.
So, when we were talking about putting on a convention, we were like, well, what should we call it? Well, Central Texas Con, Austin Con, and it was like, well, there's Alcon, there's Dragon Con, there's Chimera Con, there's all these cons with names of mythical creatures and things. What would be something that would be very sort of
The Bruja Con.
Texas, what would be something that would be, and then I think it was Cherry just popped up ChupacabraCon, and everybody just kind of went, because it was so fun to say.
We were so close to Mothman Con.
But do you think it looks more like a puma? That's what
Works the word. So yeah, it's ChupacabraCon. I always wanted to know, and when he did ask on the show, I said, the one question I told you to ask, you didn't ask!
I yelled at it for. So now,
ChupacabraCon. So now we know. It was just a, hey, fortunate thing.
It's fun to say.
It is really fun. Like I actually talked about it on the radio. I said it's fun to say name. Good game convention. Go out this weekend.
it almost makes me think ChimichangaCon.
Oh, that would have been even better. Chimichanga. You know how many Deadpools you would have had here.
Yes.
So we'll be back with more for ChupacabraCon right after this.
Can I say that? Can I talk about monster porn?
Talk about monster porn all you want.
Because I mean that's what we used to call True Blood in my house, and you know that's essentially what it was towards the end of
Get
it.
back to your point.